I never see heads laying on the desks as I did with traditional desks when they were sitting on the chairs. They seem much more alert. We live in a different world now. Our children are in a society of technology, TV, video games, etc., where their brains are always being stimulated, so how we teach and how they learn needs to be on a more active involvement level for them. I think children come to school very tired because they do not get enough physical activity in their days. Standing up to work, swinging their feet helps to energize the brain and the body so they are alert during learning.
Stand Up for Learning is a concept that encourages a different way of thinking about the classroom environment, one that helps students stay focused while allowing them to move. Not only is standing to learn more ergonomic, it expends excess energy, allows for better oxygen flow, and is gaining mass attention for its possibilities in aiding to prevent childhood obesity while improving academics. There are numerous potential benefits associated with Stand Up for Learning. Some, such as health and ADHD, are currently being studied, while others, such as improved grades and focus, are apparent in the classroom almost immediately. Standing burns far more calories per day than sitting. Plus, it's an opportunity for schools to be proactive in the health of their students. Studies are finding connections between learning and movement. Educators are observing better test scores as children are retaining information easier. Kids fidget. Not only is it normal, it actually aids in classroom focus. Stand Up for Learning has tremendous potential for students who have trouble focusing, such as those exhibiting ADHD. Better health is just one facet of potential benefits Stand Up for Learning offers. Educators, administrators, parents, and legislators are interested in the use of Stand Up for Learning as a prevention tool based on the past decade's high increase in childhood obesity and overweight children. The Alphabet or Student Desk is a major part of the Stand Up for Learning concept. It allows students to move and channel their energy during class, whether they're standing instead of sitting or swinging their legs and feet on the silent, patented pendulum footrest. There's a healthy lesson being taught here, and it has the potential to become a solid foundation for the rest of their lives.
Instead of only being able to sit all day, you have the option to stand if you want. One thing that I really like about the standing stations is the swinging footrest. I also like the standing stations because they keep you awake, but if you are hyper, you can stand and move around a little.
I like them. You're not all cramped up in a desk. You get to stand up and move around more.
Today, about 25% of all children in the U.S. are overweight, and 11% are obese. Nationally, the percentage of overweight children and adolescents has more than doubled in the past 2 decades. Perhaps the most alarming findings come from the New England Journal of Medicine, indicating that childhood obesity is so severe that the next generation could be the first in more than 200 years to live shorter lives than their parents. Almost all researchers agree that prevention could be the key strategy for controlling the current epidemic of obesity. In addition, integrating physical activity within the classroom, whether that be standing instead of sitting, or encouraging the swinging movement of the feet, becomes an important prevention tool for children. The concept of Stand Up for Learning addresses 5 areas of preventative health: aiding childhood obesity and overweightness, increasing caloric burn, increasing oxygen flow, creating a healthy environment, and finally the concept of non-exercise activity thermogenesis. As children spend more time remaining stationary in front of TVs, computers, and video games, schools are being asked to cut physical activities to save money, creating a two-sided contributor to the increase in overweight children. Because classrooms tend to occupy such a prime portion of a child's day, they are a great place to begin taking preventative measures, not only for childhood obesity, but also as a foundation of healthy lives. Much of Stand Up for Learning focuses on the healthy well-being of students, and it's no surprise that this seems to have a direct effect on academics as well. In the role of schools in preventing childhood obesity, educators are beginning to integrate physical activity within basic academic lessons. This method is gaining special attention as it encourages physical movement that all students can participate in, and not just those that are athletically gifted. Now, those students most at risk for obesity are able to perform physical movements such as standing and swinging their legs over long periods of the day, as opposed to sitting on the sidelines during PE. Although childhood obesity increases the risk of other health problems such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease, it's also important to understand the social implications associated with the growing rate of obesity. It is reported that obese adolescents tend to exhibit lower self-esteem when compared to their peers who are not overweight. In addition, social discrimination, which contributes to low self-esteem and depression, is one of the main trials that these adolescents face. Self-esteem plays an integral part on the overall well-being of students. The choice to sit, stand, or move empowers students, which educators, using the Stand Up for Learning concept, have found to aid in improving children's self-esteem. The Alpha-Better stool, in conjunction with the Alpha-Better desk, allows children to sit when they need to, while the patented swinging pendulum footrest offers a non-distracting output for fidgeting and expending the natural energy a child's body needs to create throughout the day. Because the majority of obese adolescents will become obese adults, now is a great time to start looking at the classroom environment in a different way. Most children, including adolescents, get the majority of their physical activity throughout the school day. However, many schools are cutting out the extracurricular programs that typically provided this kind of daily movement. As a matter of fact, 6 out of 10 children, ages 9 to 13, do not participate in any kind of organized sports or physical activity program outside of school. Educators and parents need a way to offer freedom of movement to children during school, and it's becoming more and more apparent that it's going to have to happen during class. Stand Up for Learning is a simple but effective opportunity for educators to set a healthy foundation for the remainder of their students' lives. Study after study reveals that movement within the classroom is not just a good thing, it is in fact a necessary thing. Increased physical activity is common in all studies of successful weight reduction. Create an environment that fosters physical activity. Therefore, school environments present us with one of the greatest opportunities to impact children's lives. It's important to look at the design of the environment with the understanding that children were designed to move. Stand-up student desks were designed with the following in mind: to allow children to move when their bodies indicate it is necessary. Researchers have shown this supports healthy child and adolescent development. Schools have a unique combination of factors, including facilities, fitness instructors, and contact with large numbers of young people for many hours each day during much of the year, that makes them a good environment in which to study physical activity interventions for weight management and to implement proven approaches. In the workplace, ergonomic seating and product designs that encourage routine breaks and movement throughout the day have developed into somewhat of a standard. The adult body gets achy, tired, and uncomfortable easily when sitting in one position for lengthy periods of time. So we've created seating that encourages better circulation and posture, and we perform random stretches when it feels right. The classroom hasn't quite caught up with the office, but we're moving in the right direction. Dr. Dieter Breithecker, a scientist of movement and an ergonomist, conducted a project report regarding school as a place of work, in which Breithecker brings forth strong evidence of a population of children who live, like many adults, a growing sedentary lifestyle. In short, sitting more, moving less. Breithecker also stresses the risk factors associated with using outdated seating in the classroom that does not encourage natural movement, and in a recent article entitled "The Right Move," recommends that students stand approximately 25% of the day. Breithecker writes, "Human bodies, especially those of growing adolescents, require a steady flow of blood and oxygen. Movement is fundamental to this process. This is why people should not maintain a static body posture over a long period of time. This is particularly important in the classroom, where students are required to sit for extended periods. To make the problem worse, many schools require these growing bodies to sit on prehistoric furniture with outdated designs that enable only rigid sitting." As Breithecker points out, physical and mental activities are closely related. Researchers are finding that the increased movement of the oxygen through the blood from physical activity increases brain activity. Movement wakes up the brain, similar to how adults are encouraged to get up and move throughout the day to essentially wake up the mind. Children need the same. The ability to stand encourages more circulation and more blood flow to the body and mind, supplying the brain with needed oxygen. Exercise also conditions the body for stress, making it more apt to adapt whether the stress is physical or mental. Within the concept of stand up for learning, students naturally stand or sit when their bodies have the energy. This not only helps them to manage and balance their energy levels throughout the day, it provides that breath of fresh air or awakening that the body needs in direct connection with brain activity. On the average, primary school children spend 10 hours per day sitting. This number presents teachers, parents, and school officials with an opportunity to take a stand. Standing burns about 50% more calories than sitting. Any movement is better than no movement, putting the years of sit down and sit still slowly behind us. With the concept of stand up for learning within the classroom come a couple of opportunities for students to burn calories while doing their homework. The most detailed study ever conducted of mundane bodily movements found that obese people tend to be much less fidgety than lean people and spend at least 2 hours more each day just sitting still. According to an article in the Washington Post entitled, "Fidgeting Helps Separate the Lean from the Obese." The study's findings confirm that it's important to find ways of incorporating basic physical activity such as fidgeting into a person's day, and that a great place to start is an environment that makes it easier for people to get moving. Researchers are finding that people who make these types of repetitive movements, similar to how you might bounce your leg while sitting at work, tend to burn approximately 350 more calories a day. Add the swinging patented pendulum footrest into the mix, and the student is now burning while they're learning. In an article entitled "Does Fidgeting Help Burn Calories?" Dr. Richard Weil and Dr. Melissa Stopler list easy ways to increase fidgeting and in turn calorie burning throughout the day. Weil and Stopler encourage repetitious fidgeting and other types of movement that burn small amounts of calories that add up over time. For students, the extra caloric burn created from simply standing up and even swinging the patented pendulum footrest with their feet can make a big difference over the course of the day and an incredible change over the entire school year. Dr. Jim Levine, an obesity researcher at the Mayo Clinic, discusses the expenditure of energy and calories. According to Levine, lack of movement is one simple factor of obesity. Levine adds that you can increase your metabolism by as much as 40% by simply standing. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis is the energy expenditure of all physical activities other than volitional sporting-like exercise. NEAT includes all those activities that render us vibrant, unique and independent beings, such as going to work, playing a guitar, toe tapping, and dancing. The factors that account for the 2,000 kcal day, one variability of NEAT, can be categorized as environmental or biological. Dr. Levine, who has worked to incorporate NEAT into offices, and Lorraine Lanningham Foster, PhD, are testing a revolutionary concept in how society thinks of a school classroom. Levine's study through the Mayo Clinic asks, do children really need to sit at desks while they learn? The study, Classroom of the Future, allows students to utilize standing desks amongst other innovations such as laptops. The concept is to give the children the opportunity to move naturally and increase activity as a critical step in preventing childhood obesity and to better fit the needs of today's generation, which tends to lead increasingly sedentary and inactive lives. Dr. Levine adds, people with obesity have a tendency to be seated for 2.5 hours more than those that are not obese. Integrating the concept of stand up for learning at an early age and within a daily 7 to 8 hour school setting can have a tremendously positive impact on a child's overall health. Imagine the impact it could have on the drastically rising rates of childhood obesity if integrated into every classroom setting.
We need to rethink the way kids are expected to learn because education continues to change. State standards and the changing global society we live in today have impacted the rigor of what students are expected to learn in the classroom. My 6th graders are learning about chemistry and physics, algebra and probability, and other topics that were once taught at the high school level. However, children's physical development has not changed. An 11-year-old is still growing and needs to be allowed physical movement just as much today as she many years ago. The stand-up tables allow for movement, encourages healthy posture, and can be fit to the varying sizes of children.
Today's classroom is changing. we are realizing that the 1960s school desks are not working for our children. We're realizing that there's an opportunity here to implement preventative measures for childhood obesity directly into the classroom, and that there's a chance to positively impact the health of our world's most valuable asset. Initially, this concept of a chairless school was viewed as a crazy, unachievable idea, says Dr. Levine. But then I started to ask for help. Every organization I approached simply said yes. I couldn't believe it. For children, the chairless classroom could be a way of tackling obesity levels that doctors claim have reached epidemic proportions. Stand Up for Learning is a concept that offers positive change to virtually any classroom setting. We've only touched on the potential health benefits the concept administers. Data is currently being quantified regarding improved physical well-being, academics, and greater focus observed in the classroom. The concept is also currently being studied by professionals who work with children exhibiting ADHD. The Alpha Beta is just one of many solutions that supports the concept of Stand Up for Learning. For more information on the concept of Stand Up for Learning, please visit www.standupforlearning.com. For more information on the products featured in this video, please visit www.safcoproducts.com.